Before we pick up our list again from last week, let's introduce our journalists from around the line table. From New Mexico In Depth, a welcome addition to our new scene. Executive Director Trip Jennings is here. Also from Albuquerque Business First, Managing Editor Rachel Sams joins us once more. And from the Associated Press, we welcome back reporter Russell Contreras. And a well-known face to our audience, Gwyneth Dolan. She is correspondent on New Mexico in Focus and a journalism professor at the University of New Mexico. Our number 5 story in our countdown list this year is huge: healthcare. Nationally, this was a big story with the rollout of the Affordable Care Act and the political battles over defunding it. In New Mexico, we saw turmoil and shifts in the private insurance market, and we had a major story around the Human Services Department, behavioral health providers, and an audit that state officials claim shows massive fraud and Trip. This last story is one your outlet has covered extensively, and New Mexico In Depth even joined other news outlets to sue the state to get these audit details. What's at stake in this story at the end of the year, looking back now? It was hard to parse early. Now we can look back on this.
There are a lot of things at stake. First off, this is a very vulnerable population. This is affected. These are people who have mental health
Excellent
issues.
point.
They are
Excellent
not going to
point.
be, at the State House kind of arguing for their point. Behavioral health is also very hard. It's very complex. And the thing about the audit is it's a credible allegation of fraud. That doesn't mean they found fraud. Right. It just means there's something suspicious there, and it's actually a new standard in the federal healthcare law. So I think that's still being worked out, and also about transparency. We sued because we wanted to know how they reached, what the audit said, and our judge has said no.
What did you get for your efforts? A lot of redacted stuff and a lot of...
We've gotten basically what everybody else has gotten, a 58-page redacted portion of an audit, but we've not gotten the audit itself.
Right.
And so we're still looking for explanations on why they chose to do this, because they had an option. They didn't have to actually cut off all the money to the behavioral health providers. They said they did, but they didn't. Federal regulations don't say that.
Gwyneth, the HSD thing, we'll get to some other stuff healthcare related, but HSD specifically, we've got other players involved, our Attorney General, we've got obviously the Director of the Department, but specifically to Gary King. He had a voice in this early, but that sort of fell away a little bit as the legalities of this sort of showed itself. Where does he sit now with this idea?
Well, he's in a tough spot because he's campaigning for governor, and transparency is a really tough issue for him because he wants to campaign on it, but he's not very good at it sometimes. And this is one of those cases. I mean, if we say that any document that you send to the Attorney General becomes, something you don't have to show to the public because it's a law enforcement record, that guts our public records statute. And so there's a very difficult issue there, and we're going to have to tease that out, and we have to be vigilant about making sure that we have access to information, especially about behavioral health. It's a ton of money, and it's very ripe for fraud, So it's entirely possible that there is a lot of fraud going on here.
Fair point.
But the public needs oversight.
Sure, fair point there. Russell, I ran into Jerry Ortiz-Pino the other night at the store. We were talking about this as well, how HSD and all this stuff, it's been a mess for years. Just an absolute mess for years. And I would have thought this would have been the thing to maybe help turn the corner, but we seem to be stuck in orbit on this.
Yeah, I mean,
movement.
The debate, I saw the debate when it first came out, what's in there, and then the debate shifted to like, oh, you're bringing a health manager from Arizona in here. Then it was another total debate, oh, we can't do it ourselves, and so so the debate went off in all these different directions. New Mexico can't handle it, that the governor go to Arizona beforehand, find someone, how connected is this group, why didn't she go to New Mexico group? So you had a number of competing narratives for this story, and as a reporter you look back and say, wait, this is really complicated. And this was a story that's easy for journalists to walk away and say, this is too complicated, right? It's a good thing that I'm very proud of what people did here is they stuck with it.
I agree.
Various outlets stuck with it, no matter how difficult. Even television was sticking with it. They were asking questions when there was an auction for unclaimed property. They then turned it into a question about the behavioral health audit. So it stuck for a while, and that was really motivating for us that are covering this. But I think the complexities are going to continue. Until we get that audit, we're going to have unanswered questions. People are going to make assumptions. People are going to speculate, and it's not going to get any better.
Sure. Rachel, from a business point of view, a little bit of a change subject, but the ACA, of course, was a big deal, both nationally but locally here. Looking back this past year for business, a lot of uncertainty about ACA. Nobody was really quite sure what to do. If you had a certain number of employees, you knew what to do by the rules of the game, but it wasn't quite clear how this would all play out. Where does business stand now at the end of the year regarding health insurance and costs and things?
There's still a lot of uncertainty. You're starting to see the beginnings of the national and the local exchange rollouts. You're finally seeing some people being able to sign up on healthcare.gov. Another wrinkle in this for business this year that could turn out to be really big is the coming acquisition of Loveless Health Plan by Blue Cross and Blue Shield. And you know, when you write about a deal, you often think about it in terms of winners and losers among the players. But this could be a real challenge to the business community because you had three major players offering health insurance to small businesses. Now there are only going to be two, Blue Cross and Presbyterian.
And the heartburn behind that is lack of competition.
Right.
What's the feedback you're getting from the business community about that regard? Because competition, of course, drops prices.
Right,
That's what we
right.
would hope. So.
Well,
yeah.
the American Medical Association just put out a study that said when insurers consolidate, when they merge, typically you see higher premiums and you see lower quality of care. And you know, healthcare is one of the biggest expenses and concerns for any business. This could be really big for them.
Yeah. For individuals, the ACA, there was a lot of uninsured New Mexicans here. Had to be a big deal for us here, right? I mean, almost like a milestone if you think about it, the amount of folks who are now insured.
Yeah,
or potentially
although,
insured.
you know, New Mexico, we did expand Medicaid coverage, and a lot of New Mexicans were covered under this little salute plan at UNM that sort of was, you know, a buffer between Medicaid and insurance from an employer that a lot of working people are covered by that plan.
Right,
I think there's a lot of confusion because they said it, you know, a lot of these folks are going to get rolled in. There's 900 billion plans in New Mexico that are technically under Medicaid. So no wonder people are confused.
Right.
It's a mess of a process. I think it's going to be painful and messy and confusing for a long time.
Yep.
And will it
Meaning
get better?
It's not going to be solved on January 31st,
No.
11:59, you know, or December 31st. It's going to go well into 2014, isn't it? It's going to be interesting. Now, like many of our picks this year, our number 4 story put New Mexico in news outlets across the country as county clerks began issuing marriage licenses to same-sex couples. After the legislature and the governor failed to act for years, it's now in the hands of the state Supreme Court to decide. And Russell, let me start with you on this. What are the possible ramifications for the state and for the citizens of New Mexico? Because we still have this amazingly unique status, so to speak, about same-sex marriage. It's not against the law, but it's not really legalized fully. We're still in a point of stasis on this as well. But how did the year play out on this?
Well, you know, at this time, right, the Supreme Court is yet to make its final decision, and they may do it in the next week or two. So we don't know. So it's not even that over. What I think happened is, as this story broke, as you saw what happened, the county clerk down in Doña Ana County, and then Santa Fe, and then Albuquerque. When this story went national, people saw this as a flyover state that was finally offering gay marriage.
Yep.
And they said, well, this is a sign that it's changing. Not only is the flyover state, it's one of the most Hispanic states, it's one of the most Catholic states. This is obviously a game shifter.
Right.
Not knowing the history about New Mexico, that it's always had this sort of independent streak, anything goes, kind of bohemian if you're in the north, down in the south, very independent, that of course this is going to happen. And because there is no law that specifically outlaws gay marriage or supports it, this was going to happen. And I think what happened was places like Las Cruces became a tourist destination for people from Texas.
Right.
And Santa Fe also became that. So I actually stopped by, and I was in Santa Fe, and I saw a colleague from the Houston Chronicle get married, get her license. These areas became tourist spots for states that could not offer it.
Sure.
That they were not, and so they made a vacation. So what I think, until this gets solved, New Mexico will shift its tourism around that.
Interesting. Speaking about polling, I always bring up polling for some reason, but same-sex marriage is an interesting situation here statewide. My last indication, it was within a couple, 5 or 6 points, pro and con. It really wasn't like a huge gap. So again, the voice of the people, where do they fit in here? I mean, one can say we drove them to the brink of this, the people have, but
Yeah.
can we actually make that final push and make that thing happen?
Nationally, we've seen a massive change in public support for gay marriage, and New Mexico doesn't do anything the way national polls do, but there's been a really significant change here too, and it is very much that way among younger people. You know, people who are in high school now just being able to vote, people who are in college, people who are getting married of that age are massively in support. And that's interesting. For me, you know, I interviewed some of the plaintiffs in this case that's in the court now, and for them, their lives are just in some disarray. They need an answer. And I think if the Supreme Court comes up with an answer, everybody is going to just want their lives to be more settled one way or the other, and having some counties doing this and some not is confusing, and people want stability, they want security, they want to know how to file their taxes.
That's right. That's right. That's no small deal. That last
No.
point
Yeah.
there. That's actually a very big deal. You know, again, you know, ACLU. I'm on the board there. Just a clarification as well. You know, big push by us. A lot of other groups on this issue, and it seems like the momentum is clearly moving in one particular direction. Do Supreme Courts pay attention to that kind of thing? Do you know what I mean? It's kind of hard to ignore the public sentiment.
I think that's a really interesting question because, you know, if you read actually, was a bellwether was the Supreme Court's decision on the photographer. You know, it's kind
Go ahead
of
and explain,
interesting.
if you would.
I mean,
explain that,
Richard
yeah.
Boston had a really interesting comment on in his what he wrote was, you know, it really is basically settled, saying the photographer had to accept these folks.
Right.
And he said it's kind of chilling for businesses, but this is the kind of balancing test we're doing here in New Mexico. I think that courts pay attention to that. They're trying to, when you're dealing at the Supreme Court level, they're looking at culture, they're looking at history, not only case law, they're looking at what Gwyneth was talking about. I remember covering this in New England, and pollsters saying nationally this was a generational thing. People under 35 were totally in support of it, and there is a shift going on here. Also, there was an orchestration of effort here. They were, Lynn Ellens down in Doñana County and others, were creating facts on the ground for the court to consider. So,
Interesting way to put it.
yeah, I mean, you have people who are actually, you know, married.
Yeah. Rachel, is there a business cut to this? You know, I appreciate, I'm thinking back to the Zogby interview you did with John Zogby about changing attitudes about millennials and such. Do young business owners see this as a plus in a city or a detriment if there's good same-sex marriage, solid footing for folks? Does that make a difference for business people in your view?
I think one thing business people do want, Gwyneth alluded to it, is certainty. You know, they want to know how they're, you know, whether they can offer partner benefits and that sort of thing.
Right.
I also think that a lot of them probably see a market there, and you alluded to that with the potential tourism. You know, certainly, I'm sure there will be business owners out there who feel that, you know, having to
New
offer
York
things.
and California made big arguments for the tourism dollars they were going to get from allowing gay marriages. And Santa Fe, of course,
Yeah.
is already a
imagine?
huge destination
Sure.
for
Right.
straight marriages.
Hawaii too now.
That's a good
Yeah.
point. Right about that as well. Yeah, absolutely. Before we come back for our next two stories, we'll step outside the borders of New Mexico and the United States, for that matter, for a visit with renowned Turkish journalist and author Mustafa Akyol for a discussion about his provocative call to reinterpret Islam.